Dear committee, hello. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Christina Thanasoula and I'm a lighting designer, a freelancer based in Greece. I was actually born and raised in Greece and I got my bachelor's degree in theatre studies from the Athens University. After that, I moved to England where I did a Master of Arts in Advanced Theatre Practice, strand of lighting design, and I'm an alumni of 2002. In 2003 I came back to Greece, and since then I have designed the lighting for over 250 performances ranging from theatre to dance to site-specific projects, events, all sorts of performance sub-genres. I'm the writer of the first book of stage lighting written in Greek. So I'll just give you a short story to explain you how we got to this book. Back in 2019, I was invited by the Ministry of Labour to write the National Occupational Standards for the lighting technician of the entertainment business, which didn't exist at the moment in Greece. After that, the next year, I got assigned to write the educational curriculum of the lighting technician. So I was looking around, looking for bibliography and references in Greece, in Greek, to include as a final chapter in the educational curriculum, and I realized that there's actually no stage lighting book in Greek. There's a huge and very wide bibliography in English or French, but in Greek this one was missing, so there was a huge gap in the theatre bibliography there, no book about stage lighting. Then we had the COVID coming into our lives, which provided us with lots of time, lots of spare time. So I had a bigger reading list in English. I had lots of time, and that is when I decided to write stage lighting book. This is a 170 pages long book with colored pictures and charts and diagrams. It's structured in 9 chapters. The first chapter is a short introduction to the art of stage lighting. It actually explains what the stage lighter is doing. He's painting the stage in 4 dimensions as I describe it. It talks about the health and safety issues that rise on in the production period, in the performance space, about the different skills that the lighting designer should possess, like being able to collaborate, being able to communicate, being patient, being extrovert. And then we go into chapter 2, which talks about the aims of stage lighting, visibility, revelation of form, etc. Chapter 3 is a chapter about the human eye, where I explain how the human eye works, how it functions, and how this actually affects the art and the craft of stage lighting. I'm talking a bit about color mixing as well, so just as an introduction to lighting. The 4th chapter, which is actually the longest one, it's 60 to 70 pages long, is the process of stage lighting. So what I'm attempting here is to describe the method of lighting the stage. So I divide it into 5 steps, let's say. So the first step is the research phase, where you actually gather information, you read the text, you talk to the rest of the collaborators, you look at the set designs, at the costume designs. You gather all the information you can about the theatre where you're going to perform. The second stage, the second step of the method, is the forming of the lighting proposal. So after you have all the information gathered, you need then to form a proposal and actually present it to the director. The third stage is the design phase, as I call it, where you actually design the final plot of your play, taking into consideration different lighting angles, the structure of the theatre, the feedback you get from the lighting technicians working in the theatre. Then we have the implementation of the lighting design, the production week, where you actually need to go rig, focus, plot lights, do the technical rehearsals, which lead you to the opening night. And then we have a 5th step, which I consider very important, the feedback session, which would be either a collaborative feedback session with the team and the rest of the collaborators, or solo, let's say, feedback session. You always need to give feedback to yourself. I believe there's a lot to learn from the previous mistakes you made in the last design, because we're all making mistakes. The fifth chapter is a chapter about the lighting equipment. I actually need to thank Robbie and ETC, the two manufacturers that support the book. Actually, Robbie also sponsored the book, being very generous with me. We had a really good collaboration. And apart from images, they actually contributed money to the publication of the book. And then ETC gave the license to use pictures of their products in the book to make it easier to read and understand what we're talking about. We need to remember that this is a book for beginners, trying to introduce someone to stage lighting. So we shouldn't really assume that people know what we're talking about. That's why I needed pictures to clarify things and make it easier to read. I wanted to be a handbook for someone who just starting, who is interested, let's say, in lighting design, and they want to see what this is about. So after the chapter 5, which is about the lighting equipment, we have chapter 6, which is about the softwares that create stage lighting plots. I'm offering an example made in Capture, where you actually have a visualization, pictures of a show I did, that here. And then chapter 7 is about the collaborators of the lighting designer. Lighting design is a collaborative art. It's not just the lighting designer, you have the lighting programmer, the lighting assistant, etc. Chapter 8 offers a case study. After finishing writing about the theory of stage lighting, I thought that I needed to include a case study just to walk the reader through the process and show him the journey. So, okay, you finish with the theory, you have the lighting concept, so how do you actually implement that in the theatre? So the case study is about a performance that was staged in the National Theatre of Greece. It was called Free Be Seized, directed by Thanos Papakostandino. It was just live streamed. There was no live audience witnessing the performance. So I'm taking the reader through the whole process, through the first designs that I actually did in the first rehearsal I went to see 2 months before the opening night. The 3D model box the set designer created. The whiteboard session, where we actually were challenged by multiple issues regarding the theatre structure and infrastructure. Then I'm walking the reader through the lighting plot, the rigging session, the plotting session, and the opening night. The images are courtesy of the National Theatre. The National Theatre actually provided the license for me to use these pictures in the book, and the opening letter of the book is an introduction of the book, is written by the head dramaturg of the National Theatre of Greece, Dr. Irene Moudraki. So 3 months after its publication, I got a telephone from the lighting design tutor of the Peloponnese University, and he asked me to include the book in his lighting design lesson, which I found a great honor, of course. And then in February 2022, 4 months after the publication of the book, I got invited to teach lighting design as a visiting lecturer to the Athens University, where I got my bachelor's degree as well. So I included the book in the Athens University as well. You can now find the book as well in 2 national university libraries, in Athens and in Thessaloniki. This is the first book about stage lighting in Greece. I really hope that more books will follow. I just want to tell you why I decided to make it a self-publication. At the beginning I contacted a couple of publishers, but either they thought they wouldn't make too much money out of it, because the truth is it's a very expensive publication. There are lots of pictures, of colored pictures included. Actually, one of the publishers suggested that we get all the pictures gathered at the end of the book, and you can just go back and forth reading and then referencing at the end of the book figure 13, figure 14. But I wanted this book to be really easy to read for beginners. So I thought going back and forth all the time just gets you confused. I mean, I cannot read a book like that, to be honest. The other publisher suggested we get it printed in black and white, but in 2021, when it was published, I mean, you don't really want to have a book about stage lighting, about light in black and white. It doesn't really make sense. and it's not really that helpful for the reader. So I decided to self-publish it. It was a really long procedure. It was a field that I was totally unaware of, so I had to do a lot of research there as well. But I have to admit, I feel really happy about this book, and I really hope that you will include it in your prize. Thank you.